I'm Dan Galusha, and welcome to another edition of Shootin' Plink. We're indoors again today, and we're going to be talking about plinking. That's right. Some people have asked me, and I've talked about this before, and in fact, everything you're going to see are things that you have seen through Shootin' Plink if you've been following the series, and also reading the magazine column. But people have asked me, what is plinking? And that's a good question. I mean, people that have not really been into it or have never, really thought about it, they may be even shooting for the first time. I did have a woman get in touch with me that she said she'd been watching my videos and she had never shot an air gun, but she was buying several of the ones that I talked about. In fact, they were all Umarex. Anyway, what's plinking? Basically, shooting a tin can. That's the best way I can put it. Is just taking a in 22s and air guns. They're basically known for plinking. Yes, you can go higher caliber, 9mm, but the price of the ammunition, you don't want to do a lot of plinking on that. It's even getting really high for 22, and even pellets have gone up, and of course everything's gone up. But you can see right here. Now this is just a straight tin can. You'll hear it rattle around there. What this is, these are some other plinking targets that people don't think about. This happens to be a tomato paste can, and you can see where I've been shooting at it, and it's the exit entrance shots and whatever. That I really wasn't going as much for accuracy as just hitting the can. And with these, you're going to have a little bit more accuracy. And what you can do is you can take like styrofoam or a block of wood or something and cut a slot down the middle and stick them in like that and shoot them off. Or if you want, you can put a hole in there, and these aren't all of that thick, so you can take a nail and punch it through there, or even just a punch, and tie them up, and you have little plinking targets, pretty much like the one that Umarex has that is already a target that they flip up and you shoot the last one, they all drop back down. But this would be making your own, and these work very, very good. Now we're going to go to something else and why I have selected these. That's the thing, because I actually am picky in some ways about my plinking targets. Here's one that is really an oddball, and you want to make sure that it's an empty one, and that's a CO2 cartridge like that. Doc MacKay out of Canada has come up with some real good ideas on this. You get these little screw eyelets, and that hole right there just fits those perfectly. You screw that down in there, then you got something to hang that by, and you can hit it, and they'll swing around. They'll swing all different directions on you at that rate. Another thing you can do, again, we're back to the block of wood or even styrofoam. You drill holes, about a 1/4 inch hole. Stick that thing down in there like that. You got another plinking target. These, though, are very solid. You're not really going to be shooting through those as much, especially if you're shooting at them with pellets or, well, anything really, but 22, don't shoot a 22 at this. The reason being, they will ricochet, so don't. Safety-wise, do not. Tin cans, it goes through those. One of the things that you've heard me talk a lot about are these. These are a cardboard insert into the commercial toilet paper rolls. If you can get your hands on these, that's fine. If you want to use the smaller ones, they work too. The nice thing about this stuff, any of this, after you get done shooting it, it's recyclable. Chuck it into the recycling bin. So you're getting two purposes out of it. But why would I pick these? Well, one thing, they're right here, you can't really hear it, but it does make a noise that you know when you hit. You can also stick something inside of here with you. Now, the one, and I don't have any here, empty plastic water bottles make a tremendous pop when you're shooting with an air gun, especially BBs, pellets, and you're not using a real strong one. Well, even the strong one, the first one will pop loud. But you really know when you hit something rather like that. These, though, what I like to do with these, and I don't have one here with it, is paint or draw, whatever, a bullseye of some sort on there, and then I'm using it for even kind of sighting in or something to re-reference when I'm shooting at it. And that's why I like these. Other things. Now, picking the can. I said, I pick a can for certain, especially pop cans and that sort of thing. You look at them. Okay, here's one, and I'll show you one that I've shot, but I'll show you first one that I have not shot at. A Pepsi can. Just a regular old Pepsi can. I think you can probably see right away why I picked that. There's 2 reasons. There are actually 3. But we'll go into this one first. You got a big bullseye right here. And now I'll show you the one I shot. You can see that's what I'm shooting at right there. You can see the hole? Yep, that's what I did. Shot at that, and it came right out the back right there. So it was a dead center shot. Pretty, well, in fact it was. You just can't tell it because of the way it goes in there. Anyway, back here, now if I want a smaller bullseye, see that one? There it is right there. So that makes a good can that way. That's my 2 reasons. The 3rd reason, and I don't have it here naturally, is a rocket shot. A Daisy rocket shot. Now, if you look back at my videos, you will see, take a look at that one. It's a rocket shot. Because that one, what that shows is you can see this can very, very well. I'm shooting it in a wooded area. And that rocket shot sends us about 10 feet into the air. And then you shoot it again. You shoot at your main target that flips it, shoots this into the air. Okay, if you got a can, say you're using it if you're in a wooded area especially, you got a green can, you're not going to see that as well. But you got that white can, you're going to see it. Now, same reason for picking Coke cans, at least this type. This is a gold can. A lot of cases you can see that in different ways better. Bullseye wise, yeah, you can use this for it because you got the O and you got the C if you want to use that. They're up in the top, but like I said, the Pepsi can, I like that because it's got actually 2 different targets and they're very, very good bullseyes. Anyway, that's why I picked those. Now, another thing that you can do, and I've showed you this before. We had one where we called them plinking blocks. And that's what these are. It's a block of wood. And you might want to cut this a little bit smaller. I know lumber is expensive anymore. So what you want to do is look for scrap wood. You might have some yourself, but there's always some laying around. But before you pick up somebody else's scrap wood, you ask. Because some people are keeping that, and for several different reasons, not just plinking blocks. But what I do is I'll cut this to the size that I'm wanting. These work very, very well for BBs and pellets. They will stick in. They won't go all the way through. They will knock them over. And they're quiet. You don't hear a lot of clanging or anything, like you would with a regular metal target, which we're going to be talking about too. And what I do then is I will put a bullseye on this so that I have that to shoot at. And since they do get knocked over, I will put a T on the top so that when they do, I can pick it up and I can look at it. Okay, here's the top, here's where I hit, so that I know if I'm hitting low and I'm actually trying to sight something in with it, because I will use these for sighting in plinking targets. I know a lot of people would say, well, that's not the best idea. True. Paper target. Want a paper target? Well, you can do that too in Plink, at least if you're shooting steel. And how do you do that? And we've talked about that before here on Shooting Plink. This is kind of a summary of everything that we've done. Now I'll reel them down. There, right there. Those are stickers. And you can stick that on just about anything. But what I like to do is put it on some like AR500 steel, or if it's an air gun, you don't really need AR500. You can go with something a little less. I use like a sign metal off at a distance if I'm not using a real high-powered pellet gun. Otherwise, that's going to dent it up some. Otherwise, you just hear it clang really good. And I can put one of those on there and see where I'm shooting. And that's another thing I've showed you in the past too, is those sign metal targets that I've shot at. And let's see, what else we got? Well, I've already, of course, covered the plinking blocks. That's my main targets. Oh, AR500s. We were talking about that. Yes. Is that plinking? It's kind of borderline. Shooting steel, and yeah, it does go clang and gling. But there are AR500, what they call knockover targets. Now, that's plinking. And you're not going to do a lot with those as far as air guns go, unless you're you're using a pretty high powered air gun, maybe a PCP 50, 30 caliber, something like that, yeah, that's going to knock them over. And some of the others too. I was just trying to think. Swarm, that's got, I think, about 1,000 feet per second, something or other like that, and that don't always do it. You have to have the right type. You might have to go to an 1/8 inch AR500, because they do have them as low as 1/8 inch. You don't see them too much, but they do. But as far as the AR500s on a Plinking, I have the bottles, and the bottles, those are real good ones to knock over with 22s. Plinking with a 22 is great on those. You've got best of both worlds, and if you want, they're just big enough, at least the ones are that Make It Ring does, and that's the ones I use, is Make It Ring. You put one of these paper ones on there, then you got yourself a bullseye, and you can see where you're hitting on that. But one thing I have noticed, though, about putting those paper targets on any AR500 is that yeah, sometimes they get knocked off actually with the splatter. I've done that shooting a 17 HMR. I thought at first I was hitting the target. What I was doing is, because those impacted AR500 so hard that it splatters, and it splatters upward, it took the target actually off. And then I realized what had taken place, and that's in another video that you can watch. But if they stay on good, which in some cases they do, especially in I'd say warmer weather, kind of in between. Cold weather, they don't stick too good. I guarantee you that, because the metal's cold and the sticker don't want to stick good. You might get 1-2 rounds at the most at one, and then the target just falls off. But they are very good for that. Another AR500 plinking target is a dueling tree. And I've got the rectangular type that, again, is a Make It Ring. And you shoot at those, there's like holes like this. I'll show you a photo here. And then as they come out, they flip back this way. And so you have them flip out and you shoot them and they'll go back. So you can just keep shooting them and others keep flipping around. Same with a regular dueling tree, depending on how it's set up. Some are set up with springs so that you shoot them and then they'll come back. There's spinner targets you can get. There's all sorts of stuff like that. But what I wanted to show you was things that you can just pick up real easy, that you're just going to throw out, and maybe hopefully in the recycling anyway. Shoot at them and then put them in the recycling. Yeah, that's right. It's you got everything right there, and it works. Anyway, like I said, this is kind of a summary of everything we've talked about through the years. And you can see why I pick the different things I do, and that's it. And the sky's the limit on this stuff. Just take a look around and you'll probably come up with another idea too. Just like Doc MacKay. He's coming up with all sorts of ideas. And so am I guess. So until next time, shoot safe and have a great day of plinking.